Hello everyone. In today's TestNG video, we are going to discuss about before and after annotation. This video is a continuation of previous video TestNG 8. So first watch this video and then watch video number 9. So in this video, we are going to cover 6 annotation. So before suite, after suite, before test, after test, before groups, after groups. And we also discuss about the execution order of before and after annotated method. So let's start with the first annotation, before suite. So as this annotation says, the annotated method will run before any test in the suite have run. So what does it mean? Let's open the Eclipse IDE. So let's open the Eclipse IDE. We already created so many end-to-end flow. Let's open the laptop flow first. Here we already written a sign up method, login method, select laptop category, add to cart. So this is our end-to-end flow. So let's create a before suite method at the top. Public void before suite. So this method name you can give anything. So I have given a before suite for the readability point of view. So let's mark with the before suite annotation. Control space, so it will automatically import. So what this method does, so I already copied all the statement for this, so I am copying it from here and let's paste it here. So now our before suite method is ready. So what it does basically, so let's discuss each point one by one. So first point is execute first in the suite or project before executing any test method. What does it mean? It execute first, that is your project. So let's discuss first point. Execute first in the suite or project before executing any test method. What does it mean? This is our project. We also call it suite. So what it says, it execute first in the what it says, it execute first in the project or suite, which means this method will execute first, then all the test annotated method in each class will execute right after that. So which means that is the global method that will execute first in the whole project. So before suite says execute first in suite or project before executing any test method. So now this point is clear. Now point number 2. Execute first in the suite and project before executing any other before annotated method, which means any before annotated method like before class, before method, before test, before groups will execute right after execution of before suite. So this is the parent annotation that execute first in at the suite level or project level. The third point is used to initialize prerequisite condition at global level that will be used by all the test classes. What does it mean? Like test environment setup script for automation, database connection initialization. So this before suite annotation is used to set up a environment or your test environment. So once your test environment is done, then only you are good to go with execution of the test case. So before suite, before suite is very handy and useful when we want to initialize or do some environment setup. Same way, let's discuss about after suite. So after suite says the annotated method will be run after all tests in the suite having run. So which means in the whole suite, the whole project, once all the test annotated method and before class, before method, before test annotated method will execute, and then after all the after annotated method execute, then at the end, before, at the end, after suite method will execute. So let's create a public void after suite. So that is the last method that will execute in the whole suite. So let's copy paste all the description and discuss one by one. So after suite, what it says, execute last in the suite project after executing any test method, which means it will execute after executing all the test method in each class, and then at the end after suite will execute. The second point is execute last in the suite project after executing any other after annotated method, which means there are a lot of after annotated method like after method, after class, after group, after test. It execute at the end, at the last in the project. So that is the second point. The third is use to close all global instance that we initialize in the before suite. So whatever the instance or object we initialize or environment setup, it is used to close all the global instance after execution of all the test methods like test environment cleanup, database connection closing, etc. So that is very handy method in which we close all the resources after execution of all the test annotated method. So hope you understand before suite and after suite annotated method. Now let's move to the next annotation, before test. So what before test says? The test annotated method will be run before any test method belongs to the classes inside the test tag in the class. What does it mean? Let's first open the testng.xml. In testng.xml, you can see the suite tag. The suite tag is basically start from here and ends here. So as we discussed, before suite execute at this level and rest of the test class and the mini subsuite, the test tag, will use those initialized parameter in their subsuite or classes. And after finishing their execution, the after suite will execute at the end. That is the scope. Now we are talking about the before test. Now we are talking about the before test, which means it belongs to the test tag. So that before test annotated method will execute here. Then rest of the tag or the classes which belongs inside the test tag use those global variable, and then after test will close it here, which means the before test tag scope is lies within this subsuite or subsuite. Okay, so let's create another annotation in the Eclipse. So let's open the Eclipse class mobile flow. So here we will create a method called public void before test. So that is basically the subsuite. So at the rate before test. So control space. Now before test annotated method is imported. So what it does, before test annotated method is ready. So I am copy pasting the step and we will discuss each point one by one. So before test, first point is execute first in test tag before executing any test method. So before test is also executed at global level, but so basically it execute at test tag level where it initialize all the prerequisite and that will be consumed or used by the class which is mentioned in this test tag. So let's discuss again the point number 2. Execute first in subsuite. Subsuite, when I am talking about subsuite, means this test tag in HTML. So that is our subsuite inside our suite. So I'm repeating again, this is our subsuite. So execute first in subsuit test tag before executing any other before annotated method, which means what before annotated method? Before class and before method before group, these three. So excluding before suit, because before suit execute first. Excluding before suit. Why excluding before suit? Because before suit having a high priority, it execute first in the suit itself, then before test execute. So the before test scope is limited to this subsuit. So now it has cleared to you. The third point is used to initialize prerequisite condition at subsuite level that will be used by all test classes, like browser initialization, file reader connection initialization, etc. So same way we will create a before. So same way we will create a after test annotation. After test annotation, control space, now public void after test. So what this method does, let me copy paste all the statement that I already written for you. So now let's discuss one by one. So what it says execute last in the subsuite tag after executing any test method within subsuite, it which means after test annotated method execute, then all the test annotated method execute in the class, and at the end after test annotated method will execute. So that's what it's saying. And the second point is, so now second point, after test execute last in subsuite after executing any other after annotated method, like before, like after class, after method, after group. It execute in the last. And the third point is used to close all global instance at subsuite level. Global instance but subsuite level. After executing after execution of all the test methods like browser and file connection closing, etc. So now these two before test and after test method we have created. Let's check the execution. So right click, run as TestNG. So now you can see before test suite executed first, then all the methods, and at the end after test. So now let's execute before suite and before test together. So open testng.xml, where we already mentioned our class mobile flow and laptop flow. So we have added these annotation in these classes. So I'm removing rest of the class that we will execute at the end. So now both the classes added. So right click, run as. So as we mentioned, run as TestNG suite. So now it has executed. So now we can see all the test case executed. But at the suite level, if we execute, it is not showing before annotated and after annotated method. But but it actually executed in the background. So so let's discuss let's discuss about each annotation. So before suite, the TestNG will look before suite first in all the classes. When it's get before suite, it execute first at the project level or suite level. Then it's look for before test annotation. If it's find before test annotation, it execute right after that. And then it will execute all the test annotated method, and after executing test annotated method in the class, all the classes, then it execute after test annotated method, Once this is executed, then it will look for the after switch execution. So that is how it works. Now let's discuss about before groups annotation. So what it says, the list of groups method will run before. This method is guaranteed to run shortly before the first test method that belongs to any of these groups is invoked. What does it mean? Let's go back to Eclipse. So let's open our third class, shoe flow. Here we will mention before groups annotation. Control space. Now it has imported. Let's create a method, public void before groups. So this method says, let me paste the statement. So, so basically this method says, used to initialize prerequisite condition before executing particular groups labeled test methods. Particular groups labeled means, let's say as we discussed groups, so it's nothing but labeling of test annotated method in different group category. Let's say this test case belongs to end-to-end, then we label end-to-end. If this belongs to smoke, sanity, or regression, we labeled regression or smoke, sanity. So the before groups is basically used to execute first before executing any particular group labeled test case. So here we are going to mention, let's say, groups regression. So now what will happen? This before groups prerequisite annotated method execute first before executing any regression labeled test annotated method. So this will execute first, then rest of the test annotated method which is having a regression label will execute right after that. And same way, let's create a after group. So in after group, after group. So after groups, we are mentioning run this after groups method after execution of all the test annotated method having a regression label. So that will execute after execution of all the test annotated method which is having a regression group label. So now it is clear, the before group is basically execute right before any groups which we have mentioned at the before group annotated method, and then all the method which is having the regression tag or label will execute, and then after that, as we mentioned in after group, once all the test annotated method having a group regression executed, then this after group will execute in the class. So that is the execution order. So let's right click, run as TestNG test. So it is not showing here because group is basically derived from testng.xml here. So we need to mention our class which we have created. So let's say copy this tag and mention our class in the tag here. Save. Now we are passing a regression, run as TestNG. So now you can see before group executed first, then all the test method having a label regression executed, and then at the end after group executed, in which we are closing all the initialized in which we are closing all the initialized object. So now let's discuss the execution order. So before suite execute first, so it execute at the top of the XML as suite level. So it execute first, then before test, then before group, then before class, and inside before method. That is the order of execution. So before suite, before test, before groups, before class, and then before method. So once the before method is done, then it calls after method, then after class, after group, after test, and after suite. How? So once before method executed, then before after method call happens inside the method, then after class, then after group, then after test, and then after suite, which is end at the bottom. So that is the execution order that will be asked you in the interview. Remember all the execution order of before and after annotated method. So thank you for watching this video. If you like this video, please click on like button and subscribe this channel. Thank you very much.